"She's old and boring. I don't want her at my wedding." That's what my granddaughter said about me. Loud enough that I heard it through the hallway. Loud enough that she wanted me to hear. I had just baked her favorite lemon squares. Left them on the counter, still warm. She didn't even say thank you. Just turned to her fiancé and said I'd ruin the aesthetic. Too wrinkly for Instagram. And the worst part? Her mother, my own daughter, just nodded. Said Mom wouldn't enjoy a modern wedding anyway. They thought I was too fragile to handle it. Like I was a piece of antique furniture they didn't know what to do with. Not useful, just in the way. I've buried a husband, raised 2 kids, paid off a 30-year mortgage, and now I'm being written off like expired milk in the back of the fridge. But here's the thing. They picked the wrong old lady to cross. Because when I found out where the wedding was being held, I made a phone call. Just one. And on the morning of her big day, she showed up in her little white dress and saw me, sitting at the front gate, with the deed in my hand. Here's the thing. I wasn't always the old lady. I was someone once. I am someone. My name is Dorothy Jean Taylor. Born in 52, married in 72, widowed in 2011. I raised 2 daughters on a grocery clerk's salary and a whole lot of casseroles. I don't need much. Just a clean house, a cup of Maxwell House in the morning, and a good porch chair when the sun starts to dip. I like my days quiet, but I'm not dead. I still drive. I still mow my own lawn. I've got a sharper memory than any of my grandkids, and don't even get me started on spelling. These kids text like their thumbs are drunk. So when my granddaughter, Madison, got engaged, I was happy. Real happy. She's my oldest grandbaby. Used to ride in my grocery cart and sing Old MacDonald so loud people clapped. I still have the drawing she made me when she was 5. It's on my fridge. Little stick figure me with a giant smile and the words, "Grandma is my best friend." That paper's faded now. Like a lot of things. It started small. She stopped calling. Said she was busy with work and the wedding stuff. That's fair, I thought. Planning's a lot. I offered to help sew some napkins, bake cookies for the favors, small things. She texted back one word, LOL. Didn't even capitalize it. At Thanksgiving last year, I asked about the wedding plans. She said, "We're doing a minimalist chic theme." I said, "Oh, what's that mean?" She smiled at her phone instead of answering me. Her fiancé, Tyler, who looks like a human vape pen, said, "It means no doilies and no clutter, Dorothy." Dorothy. Not Grandma. Not Gran. Just Dorothy. Like I was the lady who cuts hair down at Supercuts. The table went quiet after that, except for the sound of the cranberry sauce sliding out of the can. I tried brushing it off. I really did. People change. Weddings are stressful. Maybe she was just overwhelmed. But then Christmas came, and there was no invite. They all came to my house, Madison, Tyler, my daughters, my other 2 grandkids. I made my sweet potato casserole and set the table with the nice china. Madison brought a fancy bottle of wine and took selfies in front of my fireplace. That's when I saw the planner in her bag. One of those big white binders. Embossed with gold script. I reached for it, smiling. "Can I peek at the venue?" She yanked it away like I'd grabbed a loaded gun. "We're keeping it a surprise," she said. I said, "Even for your grandmother?" She looked at her mother, my daughter, Jessica, and shrugged. Jessica gave me that look. The one that says, "Don't make a scene, Mom." I didn't. I just swallowed what little pride I had left and passed the green beans. A week later, I was at Walmart, buying cat litter and a heating pad. And that's when I ran into Claire, my neighbor's niece, who works part-time at the bridal shop downtown. She saw me and said, "Dorothy, so exciting about Madison's wedding at Brookfield Gardens." Brookfield Gardens. That's when it hit me like a cold pie to the face. That's the venue where my sister got married in 1969. It's 3 miles from my house. Big iron gates. Stone fountain. They have peacocks. I just nodded and smiled. But my heart was pounding. They hadn't told me. Not even the name of the place. I called my daughter that night. "Jessica," I said, "why didn't anyone tell me where the wedding is?" She sighed. "Mom, we just didn't want you to feel obligated." Obligated to what? To come. There was a pause. Then she said it. Madison thought it might be better if the guest list was tighter. You know, young, modern. I didn't say anything. So she added, she's just trying to have the kind of day she wants. I finally said, I'm her grandmother. And Jessica said, I know. But you know how Madison is. No, apparently I don't. I didn't sleep that night. I stared at the ceiling fan and thought about all the school plays I sat through, all the sleepovers I hosted, the time I drove through a snowstorm to bring Madison her retainer because she forgot it before cheer camp. But now I'm not good enough for a party because I don't match the Pinterest board? 2 days later, I went to visit an old friend of mine, Henry. He's a retired realtor, plays chess at the senior center, and still drives a Cadillac like it's 1985. We sat on his porch drinking lukewarm tea. I told him about what happened, about Brookfield Gardens. He raised an eyebrow. Funny, that place just went up for sale. My heart stopped. Wait, what? He nodded. Owner's retiring. No kids to leave it to. Wants out before October. I stared at my tea. My hands started to shake. Not from arthritis this time. Henry, I said. Yeah, can you make a call for me? Because I wasn't going to beg for a seat at her wedding. I was going to own it. I didn't tell anyone what I was doing. Not Jessica. Not the neighbors. Not even Henry knew the full picture. I just smiled and kept watering my petunias. Inside, I was fire. Because you don't spend 71 years on this earth just to be told you're a decoration in someone else's story. The next week, I called Brookfield Gardens myself. I asked to speak to the owner, George Renshaw. Older man. Sounded like he smoked a pipe and wore suspenders. Very polite. I asked if he was still selling. He said, yes, ma'am. Private sale. Not listed yet. I said, can I come by? He said, tomorrow morning? I put on my Sunday slacks, the ones with the crease, dusted off my good purse, printed out the bank papers I'd kept hidden for years, my rainy day fund, plus a little extra from the house my parents left me. George met me at the gate. He held it open like a gentleman. We walked the property together. The pond, the roses, the little white gazebo with fairy lights strung across the top. I didn't cry, but I wanted to. This place had history, and now it had opportunity. I'll take it, I said. He blinked. Don't you want to see the books? No, I said. I want to see their faces. By the end of the week, I was the proud owner of Brookfield Gardens. Technically, I bought the business, not just the land, which meant I could cancel any event I wanted, even a certain wedding on September 17th. But that would have been too easy. No, I had something better in mind. The family still hadn't called. Jessica sent one text a week later. Said, you doing okay, Mom? I replied, just peachy. No response after that. Madison didn't call at all. Then came the bridal shower. I wasn't invited. Of course. But I was tagged in a Facebook photo by mistake. Madison, grinning in a white romper, holding a gift that said from Grandma on it. It wasn't from me. I commented, I didn't send that. Must have been the other grandma. Comment got deleted. 3 hours later, Jessica called. Mom, what the hell? I said, what? You embarrassed her in front of everyone. Oh no, I said. Did I ruin her aesthetic? Silence. Then she hung up. I started keeping a notebook. Not for revenge. Just for remembering. Dates, times, little moments. Like the day I brought over my late husband's cufflinks for Madison's groom. Thought maybe he'd want to wear them. She looked at the box and said, oh, he's more of a sleek-look guy. Didn't even open it. Or the time I offered to help address invitations, and she said, we're using a font that's hard to read if your eyesight's bad. Jessica didn't say a word. They were treating me like a ghost who talked too much. Then came the rehearsal dinner plans. I found out from my neighbor's niece. Again. Apparently, it was being held at a wine bar downtown. I asked Jessica if I could come. She laughed. Actually laughed. Mom, she said, it's a wine and tapas place. You don't even like tapas. I said, it's not about the food. She said, then what is it about? I opened my mouth, then closed it, because I realized she didn't want to hear the answer. 1 week before the wedding, they posted a countdown on Instagram. Big white numbers. Sparkles. Hashtag meet the Morgans. Every post felt like a slap. And every time I saw one, I just smiled. Because by then, everything was in place. I had the contract. I had the permits. I even had a staff lined up. Half were retirees from the local senior center who just wanted something to do on a Saturday. We called ourselves the Wrinkle Warriors. But the best part? The event listing was still in Madison's name. They hadn't updated anything with the new ownership. They were planning a wedding on a property they no longer had a right to use. 3 days before the wedding, I got a call from Madison. First time in 2 months. Her voice was all sugar. "Grandma, how are you?" I said, old and boring. "Remember?" She went quiet, then laughed like it was a joke. "Oh, come on. We were just being silly. It's been so hectic." I said nothing. She got to the point fast. "So, we're doing the rehearsal walkthrough at Brookfield Gardens Friday evening. Can you believe it's almost here?" "Sure can," I said. She laughed again, nervously. "Anyway, I just wanted to see if you'd maybe want to stop by." I said, "Why now?" She paused. "Because I miss you." I said, "No. You need something." There was a long silence. Then she said it. The line I'd been waiting for. The venue called. They said it changed ownership. "Yup. And you bought it?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." Dead silence. Then she said, "So what does that mean?" I looked at the notebook on my table. At the family photo stuck inside the cover. The one with an empty chair where my husband used to sit. "It means," I said, "I'll see you Saturday." And I hung up. They thought I wouldn't actually go through with it. That's the part that still makes me laugh. Quietly, to myself. Over my toast in the morning. Because they'd written me off so completely, they couldn't even imagine I might still matter. The day after that phone call, Jessica showed up at my house. No warning. Just rang the doorbell while I was cutting coupons. I opened the door. She had her sunglasses on, the big ones, even though it was cloudy. "Hi, Mom," she said. I didn't invite her in. She stepped onto the porch like it was enemy territory. I just wanted to clear the air. I said, "Air seems fine to me." She gave that tight little smile she uses when she's about to say something cruel in a sweet voice. "Look," she said, "Madison's freaking out. This wedding is important to her." "I know," I said. "She's made that real clear." Jessica sighed. "You buying the venue was unnecessary." I tilted my head. "So was leaving me off the guest list." She blinked. "Didn't like that." "Okay, fine. That wasn't the best choice. But you could have called. We could have talked about it." "Oh, like a family?" I asked. "We stopped doing that somewhere between the planner and the tapas." She stepped forward like she was going to take my hand. I pulled back. She froze. And then she said it. "It's not personal, Mom. You just don't fit the vibe." I felt something tighten in my chest. "What vibe is that, exactly?" She hesitated. "You know, clean, classy, youthful." I stared at her. This woman I raised. This woman who once cried into my lap after her first breakup. Who used to borrow my scarves and call me her style icon. "You're embarrassed of me," I said. "No," she said quickly. Too quickly. "It's not that." I just nodded. "You don't want me there. Fine. But you don't get to control the narrative." She frowned. "What narrative?" I leaned in a little. "The one where I disappear quietly." That night, I sat on the couch and watched old VHS tapes of Madison's birthdays. Her 5th. The year she wanted a unicorn cake. I stayed up till 2 a.m. making it. The horn fell off, but she didn't care. She hugged me so tight my glasses fell off. In that video, I looked proud, like I belonged. Now, I was just a blemish on their big day. A smudge on the filter. 2 days before the wedding, they tried calling again. 6 times. I didn't answer. I went down to the venue instead. Checked on the grounds. Made sure the fountain was running. Made sure the Wrinkle Warriors had the folding chairs ready. Madison's wedding planner, some 20-something named Laurel with a clipboard and an aggressive ponytail, showed up unannounced. She looked me up and down like I was lost. "Hi, can I help you?" I said no, but I can help you. I'm the owner now. She blinked, left, then saw my name on the deed. Oh. She fumbled with her clipboard. So what exactly are you planning to do? I smiled. Hosting a wedding. She looked relieved. Oh, good. So it's still on. Oh, yes, I said. Just not the one you're thinking of. That night, I got an email. Subject line, please don't ruin this. No greeting. No apology. Just a list of reasons why I should step aside. You'll be a distraction. People will feel uncomfortable. This isn't about you. She even attached a new seating chart, just to rub it in. My name wasn't on it, but my chair? Labeled, not applicable. That was the moment. The moment the sadness strained out. And something else took its place. Not anger. Clarity. If I didn't matter to them when I loved them, then I sure as hell wasn't going to matter quietly when they didn't. I called Henry. Asked him to come early on Saturday. Said I needed a witness. He said, witness to what? You'll see, I told him. Then I took down the old family photo from my fridge. The one with the empty chair. I slid it into my purse. Because I had plans for that chair. Plans they weren't going to like. Saturday morning. The day of the wedding. I woke up at 5:15. Not from an alarm. Just muscle memory from decades of early mornings and unpaid labor. Made myself coffee. Folded the newspaper. Stared at the family photo I'd left on the kitchen table. All those faces smiling. Except mine. I dressed slow. Buttoned my blouse. The cream one with lace sleeves. Pulled on my navy slacks. Sensible shoes. Pearls. Not to be elegant. To be undeniable. Because today wasn't about hiding in a corner and being polite. Today was the day I took my chair back. At 8:22, the call came. Jessica. Voicemail. Mom. It's done. You win. Madison's in tears. We're finding a new venue. Hope you're proud. Didn't say my name. Didn't say sorry. Just you win. Like this was a game. By 9 a.m., the first car arrived at the gate. It was Tyler, the fiancé. He pulled up fast in a silver Audi, sunglasses on, jaw clenched like he was doing a magazine shoot about emotional constipation. I was already waiting. Chair placed dead center by the iron gate. Folded hands. Photo in my lap. He rolled the window down. Are you serious? Always have been. He laughed. Mean little puff of air. This is insane. You're ruining her life. Good, I said. He stared. You don't get it, he said. We had vendors. Guests flying in. We spent 20 grand on this weekend. Should have saved some for respect. He leaned forward. Are you really gonna sit there all day like some vengeful Yoda? I smiled. Yes, dear. By 10:30, people started arriving. Guests in pastel dresses, holding gifts. Bridesmaids in matching robes, shivering in the fall breeze. No one knew where to go. I sat in my chair. Didn't move. Didn't blink. Laurel the planner finally stormed over, waving her clipboard like it was a court order. You can't just block the entrance, she said. I can, I said, and I am. This is harassment. This is ownership. She stomped off, mumbling something about refunds and Yelp reviews. At 11:15, Jessica appeared. Full makeup. Hair pinned. Mother of the bride dress. Eyes red. She didn't say anything at first. Just stood there, looking at me like I was a roach in her champagne. Then she said, You've made your point. I looked down at the photo in my lap. At the empty chair. No, I said. I haven't. She stepped closer. Madison is crying. She thinks you hate her. I looked up. I don't hate her, I said. I miss her. Jessica's jaw clenched. You're punishing her for being young. For growing up. I shook my head. She didn't grow up. She just stopped looking back. Then I stood. And I said it. The words that had been building for months. You all wanted to erase me. One event at a time. First the plans, then the invites, then the seat. Now the memories. Well, today I remember everything. And that's when I handed her the photo. The one of the whole family. Christmas, 4 years ago. One empty chair at the head of the table, where my husband used to sit. Jessica took it. Looked down. Eyes flickered. She said, What do you want? I said, to be remembered before I'm gone. Not after. She didn't respond. Didn't have to. Her silence was the answer. And then at 11:59, 1 minute before the ceremony was supposed to start, Madison arrived. Full gown, veil, heels too high for gravel. She stepped out of the car and looked straight at me. I saw it all in her face. The panic, the disbelief, the disgust. She walked toward me. Fast. "Grandma," she hissed, "what the hell are you doing?" "Good morning to you too," I said. "Are you seriously still doing this?" "Yes. You ruined everything." "No," I said. "You did that when you chose aesthetic over family." She opened her mouth, then closed it, then said it. The line that hit harder than any slap. "I didn't invite you because I knew you'd make it about you." The words landed like a brick. Because deep down, that was the fear, wasn't it? That I was just in the way. A burden. Too loud. Too old. Too visible. I felt my chest tighten. Just like it did when they left me off the list. Just like it did when I saw the gift I didn't send. And for a moment, I felt it shame. That awful, familiar taste in the back of the throat. But then I remembered something. Madison was 5, sitting on my kitchen floor, crying over a scraped knee. And I held her and said, "You are never too much for me." Funny how that never went both ways. I stepped aside. She looked confused. I pointed behind me. "Go on. It's yours now." "You're letting us in?" "Yup." "Why?" "Because I wanted you to see what it feels like to be locked out." Her mouth opened. But I was already walking away. Back to my chair. Back to the gate. Back to the photo in my lap. And as the string quartet started tuning up behind me, she said, quietly, "You don't get to come in." I nodded. I never needed to. 2 days after the wedding, a letter came. Not a thank you. Not an apology. A formal letter. Typed. On fancy paper. Sent by courier. From a law office. "Dear Ms. Dorothy Taylor, per our client's request, please cease all use of Brookfield Gardens for personal or retaliatory purposes. Failure to do so may result in legal action for emotional distress, interference with business, and defamation." I laughed. Out loud. Then I cried. Not loud. The next day, Jessica called. "No hello. Did you get the letter?" I did. Well, what? "Are you going to do the right thing?" "Define that for me." She sighed like I was a toddler who'd eaten glue. "Sell the property back. Quietly. We'll pay fair market. And if I say no, then this gets ugly." I said nothing. She waited. Then the sugar-sweet poison came out. "Mom, you've been acting unstable." Madison's worried. Honestly, we all are. Unstable. That's what they say when they want to write you off and make it your fault. "Maybe it's time," she added, "to think about assisted living." There it was. The quiet bomb. I held the phone away from my ear and stared at it. Like it was a snake. Then I hung up. That night, I drove to Walmart. Not because I needed anything. I just needed to walk. To be somewhere normal. I wandered through the detergent aisle, past the sad fish tanks, and over to the clearance rack where socks go to die. That's when I heard it. "Hey, Grandma Drama." I turned. It was Tyler, the groom, wearing basketball shorts, flip-flops, and a smug expression. He held a 6-pack of craft beer and a bag of frozen shrimp. "No lawyer today?" I asked. He smirked. "Don't need one. Just came to say, this? All of this? Not gonna end how you think." And then I said, "Because I think it ends with me owning your wedding photos." He laughed. Out loud. Loud enough that 2 teenage girls looked over. "You're not scary, Dorothy," he said. "You're sad." I stepped forward. Calm. Measured. Like a nurse with a bad syringe. "You married into a family that eats its own," I said. "You'll get your turn." He blinked, then shook his head. Unreal. And walked off, muttering. Outside, I sat in my car. Watched the carts roll across the lot in the wind. And for the first time, I felt it. Alone. Not just lonely. Alone. Henry had stopped calling. Said he was tired of being in the middle. The wrinkle warriors backed out, worried about reputational risk. Whatever that meant. Even my neighbor, Patty, stopped waving when I watered the lawn. Madison's posts had changed the narrative. Now I was the villain. The crazy grandma who ruined her own granddaughter's wedding. The internet loves a villain with a pearl necklace. The next morning, I went to the mailbox. Another envelope. This one with my name handwritten. Inside, a check. $250,000. And a sticky note. Let's all move on. Love, Jay. I stared at it. My hands didn't shake. My pulse didn't spike. I just felt cold. Because this was worse than threats. This was a payoff. They didn't want peace. They wanted silence. I walked straight into my kitchen, put the check on the counter, then took out the wedding photo. The one Madison had posted, smiling like she earned the world. I flipped it over, wrote 3 words in red pen. Not for sale. The next day, someone knocked on my door. A woman I didn't recognize. Young, blonde, business casual, clipboard. Hi, Miss Taylor. I'm from Silver Pines Transitional Living. I stared. Excuse me. She smiled like I was an overdue library book. We just wanted to introduce our services. We help seniors with. I shut the door. Didn't slam it. Just closed it. Locked it. Then leaned my back against it. And whispered to no one enough. They wanted to erase me. One event at a time. One story at a time. Now they were coming for the ending. But I still had the pen. And they forgot one little thing. I own the setting. And I am not going quietly. 3 days after the check, I drove out to Brookfield Gardens. I needed air. Real air. Not the kind piped through my vents while I hid in my house like a fugitive in my own life. The gate was open when I got there. Strange. I always kept it locked. When I pulled up to the gravel lot, I saw them. Madison, Tyler, Laurel the clipboard gremlin, and 2 men in polos unloading what looked like folding chairs and silver centerpiece crates. On my property. I parked and stepped out. Madison saw me first. Oh, God, she muttered. Here we go. I walked up slow. No drama. Just clarity in my step. Can I help you? I asked. Tyler didn't even look at me. Laurel did. We're just setting up for a follow-up shoot. We told the owner. I am the owner, I said. Madison crossed her arms. Not according to the paperwork. What paperwork? Tyler finally turned. The amended business license. Filed yesterday. My lawyer submitted the new LLC. I stared. You don't own the LLC. He smirked. Not anymore. That's when I saw it. A manila envelope in Madison's hand. She waved it like a prop. Funny thing, she said. There was some confusion with your signature on the transfer documents. She actually smiled. I fixed it. My stomach dropped. You forged my name. No, she said. I just signed what you would have. Eventually. I turned to Laurel. You're participating in trespassing. She shrugged. I was told the venue had new ownership. You're standing on fraud. She looked away. No one made eye contact. It was like I wasn't even there. I walked the path around the side garden. Just to see. The lights I'd hung myself gone. The flower beds I planted ripped out, replaced with something called desert chic. They'd replaced the benches with acrylic cubes. It looked like an art gallery inside a salad shooter. I stood under the gazebo. My gazebo. And I finally said it. This isn't about a wedding anymore. Madison was behind me now. It never was, I said. She didn't answer. When I got home, I called Henry. Told him everything. He went quiet. Then said, check your title. Now. I logged into the county records portal. Scrolled. And there it was. A quitclaim deed. Filed 2 days ago. It claimed I had relinquished interest in Brookfield Gardens. Forged. Full signature. Wrong date. No witness. But official enough to trigger a pause in county enforcement. I felt dizzy. For a moment, I couldn't move. Just stared at the screen. Then I stood up. Went into the hallway closet. Pulled down the fireproof box with my real documents. The deed. The check stub. The first sales agreement. And tucked beneath it, something I forgot I still had. An old voice recorder. From my days at the school board. Back when I took meeting minutes. Still worked. Battery light blinking like it had something left to say. I held it. And smiled. The next morning, I drove straight to the county clerk. No appointment. I brought the real deed. The full timeline. and the recorder. And I played it. A voicemail from Laurel I'd saved by accident. Hey, just confirming for Saturday, same time, same rate. Just bill it to Madison. She says we can skip the permit since it's technically hers now. The clerk raised an eyebrow. I raised mine right back. Miss Taylor, she said, this looks bad. It is bad. She nodded. Okay, I'll escalate this to legal review. Good, I said, because I've got more. That night, I called a friend. My old bingo partner, Sandra. Widow. No filter. Lives across from City Hall. Sandra, I said, you ever met a judge off duty? She said, I've dated too. I said, I need an audience. She said, you need a pitcher of iced tea and a list of names. Come by. By the time I hung up, I had a legal contact, a witness list, and a plan. But I also had something better, clarity. Jessica was afraid of being embarrassed. Tyler wanted control. Madison? She wanted the image of a close-knit family, not the truth of one. And me? I was done being anyone's shadow. They'd crossed the line, taken my name, my property, my place at the table. But I still had something they didn't. History, and the receipts to prove it. The next morning, I woke up with a new feeling in my bones. Not arthritis. Purpose. I made coffee. Strong. Burned the first cup, but didn't care. Poured it anyway. Sat by the window with a notebook, the good pen, and every document I had. I wasn't planning a breakdown anymore. I was planning a comeback. First, I listed my assets. Real deed forged quitclaim copy voice recording from Laurel printed voicemail transcripts wedding guest emails from Claire. Bless her nosy little heart. Every invoice Madison filed under her name, then I made a second list. Enemies. Madison, Tyler, Jessica cowards. Laurel, Henry. Sorry, Henry. Neutrals. Sandra, my bingo crew wild cards. The county clerk, Judge Morales. Thanks, Sandra. I wrote one word across the top, reclaim. Because that's what this was about. Not just property. Dignity. I started with a call to Sandra. Hey, sugar, she said. You want tea or whiskey? Both, I said. I'm bringing paperwork. We sat on her sun porch for 3 hours. She read everything. Didn't even blink. When I got to the fake quitclaim, she stood up so fast her chair screeched. Oh, honey, she said. They really thought you were done. They all did. She stared at me, eyes squinting. Do you want quiet justice or loud revenge? I said, why not both? She made 2 calls. One to a city councilman who owed her a favor. Another to a local reporter she once went to prom with. I'll let you know what shakes out, she said. I left her house and went straight to Brookfield Gardens. Didn't care if anyone was there. The gate was closed. Good. I opened it with my key. Walked the grounds like a general inspecting the battlefield. Inside the main hall, the acrylic cubes were still there. I dragged one out to the lawn. Then another. Then I stacked them. Sat on top like a damn throne. Took a photo. Posted it to Facebook. Caption, still here. Still mine. 30 likes in the first hour. Mid-afternoon, I stopped by the courthouse. The clerk waved me over. Your forged deed? It's under review. But I've escalated it. Timeline, 10 days max. They'll nullify the fake one and restore the original. And in the meantime, she handed me a packet. Temporary injunction. They can't use the property, advertise it, or enter without your consent. I smiled. What happens if they do? She didn't smile back. They get served. I stopped at Walgreens on the way home. Picked up 4 packs of thank you cards, a roll of Scotch tape, and a glossy photo print of the original family picture, the one with the empty chair. Then I got to work. First card, Dear Madison, sorry your wedding was interrupted. I just wanted to be remembered before I'm gone. Love, Grandma taped a copy of the real deed inside. Second card for Tyler, ownership can't be stolen with arrogance. Good luck explaining this to your lawyer. Included a copy of the business license under my name. Third card to Jessica, this is what erasing someone looks like when it fails. Enclosed, a copy of the forged quitclaim, marked in red, fraud. Fourth card to Laurel, you were always a clipboard with a ponytail. Never a professional. Included, Voicemail transcript, highlighted, bolded, notarized. I sealed each envelope, drove them to the post office, sent them priority mail, tracked, signed, because this time they couldn't say they didn't know. That night, Sandra called. "You'll want to see tomorrow's paper. Front page." She snorted. Above the fold, sugar. It's about time someone reminded this town that old doesn't mean done. The next morning, I sat on the porch with my coffee and waited. Mail came first. Bills. One sympathy card from an old friend who'd heard the wrong version of events. Then the paper. There it was. Big bold headline, "Local grandmother fights back after wedding venue scandal," subhead, "Forgery, family feud," and the battle for Brookfield Gardens. There was a photo, too. Me, sitting on that ridiculous acrylic cube like I own the universe. Because I do. Phone rang 20 minutes later. It was Henry. He didn't even say hello. "I'm sorry," he said. "They came to me, pressured me, said if I helped them, they'd leave me out of it." "You believe them?" "I wanted to." Pause. "Do you hate me?" "No," I said. "I just don't trust you." He exhaled. "I can fix it," he said. "Then fix it." Click. At 4:30 p.m., I got the email. From Sandra's councilman friend. City permitting records. Turns out, Madison had been using my venue address to apply for multiple events, branding herself as the new creative director of Brookfield Gardens. There were ads, flyers, merchandise, and then there it was. An upcoming influencer party, hosted by her, using my space. This Saturday, I sat back in my chair. The sun was going down, orange bleeding into the lawn, and I whispered to myself, let's give them a party to remember. Saturday morning, cloudy skies, low wind. Air smelled like rain and regret. Perfect. The influencer party was set for 2 p.m. Brookfield Gardens was going to be packed with ring lights, hashtags, and people who think vibes is a personality. Too bad they wouldn't make it past the gate. 8 a.m. I pulled up in my car, dressed for war. Navy windbreaker, gardening gloves, hair tied up, coffee thermos in one hand, clipboard in the other. Sandra was already there in full camo, holding a walkie-talkie like she was storming Normandy. "You sure about this, sugar?" she asked. "Dead sure." She grinned. "Then let's cause some problems." I taped a "closed for maintenance" sign on the front gate. Then I padlocked it. Then I put up yellow cones across the drive and scattered 2 garden hoses so it looked like plumbing work. At the same time, Sandra coordinated with her city hall contact, who submitted a temporary noise complaint order on the property, complete with an under investigation notice. A laminated copy went straight on the fence. In plain view. By 10 o'clock, I was inside the venue, checking every corner. I'd turned off the main breaker. No lights, no AC, no power to their little aesthetic booths. Their rented generator? Sitting out back. Gas siphoned out the night before. Oops. I left a little note. Should have remembered who owns the keys. At 11:30, Laurel the clipboard queen arrived. She stared at the cones, the hoses, the padlock. Then she spotted me. I was sweeping the stone path, humming Patsy Cline. She marched over, stilettos sinking in the grass. "What the hell is this?" I kept sweeping. "You can't just block us out," she snapped. "We have a permit." "No, you don't." She blinked. "What?" I pulled a folded sheet from my pocket. The injunction. Stamped. Signed. Official. "You're trespassing." This is illegal." "Correct," I said. "It is." Then I took a step forward. Lowered my voice. "You should go before I call the sheriff." Again. She turned white. Grabbed her phone. Ran off toward her car like it owed her money. 1 p.m. cars started arriving. Mostly 20-somethings in beige hats and white sneakers, climbing out of rentals with ring lights and iced coffees. Some tried to push the gate. One tried to climb the side fence. Sandra hit the walkie. "Fence monkey at 3 o'clock. I walked over. Calm. "You're not on the list," I said. The guy laughed. "There's no list, lady." I smiled. "There is now." 2 p.m. Madison arrived. Late. Flustered. Already angry. She wore a white jumpsuit, fake tan, and sunglasses the size of her ego. Tyler trailed behind her, talking on the phone. They took one look at the closed sign and stormed up. "Are you joking?" she hissed. "Nope. This is our event." "Nope again. Mom said we could use it." "Oh, you mean the same mom who tried to move me into a care home last week? Interesting strategy." She took off the glasses. Her eyes were wild. "You ruined our wedding." "No," I said. "You ruined family. I'm just keeping score." Tyler stepped forward. "We're going to see you into the ground." I held up the deed, the real one, then handed him the voice recorder. Play buttons already cued. Legal threats go real quiet when there's audio. He glared. "Madison," he muttered, "get in the car." "But the guests, they're gone," I said. "Checked the event site this morning." "Cancelled." She stared. Then her eyes dropped to her phone. I watched her thumb swipe through notifications. Silent. Heavy. All those likes gone. All that clout evaporated. She looked up. "You think this makes you the bigger person?" "No," I said. "It just makes me the one who showed up." They left. No screaming. No dramatic exit. Just quiet. The kind that hurts worse. At 4 o'clock, I unlocked the gate. Let Sandra in. We sat in the grass and shared a peach cobbler I'd brought in a Tupperware. "It's not over," she said. "No," I said. "It's just starting." Because the paper ran another story. This one with the headline, "Family Fraud Allegations Rock Wedding Venue Drama." And tomorrow, the court would see the forged deed. And I'd be there, front row, pearls and all, with one simple sentence ready for the judge. They wanted me gone. I stayed. Monday morning, court day, I ironed my blouse. Wore the same pearl earrings I wore to my husband's funeral. Not because I was grieving, but because something was being buried today. Their control. At 9 a.m. sharp, I walked into the county courthouse with Sandra at my side, purse full of paper and righteous fury. We had the original deed, the forged quitclaim, the voice recordings, the email chain from Laurel, and a freshly notarized affidavit from the clerk, confirming the signature wasn't mine. Sandra whispered, "You look like you're going to eat someone alive." "Only if they deserve it," I said. Outside the courtroom, I saw them. Jessica, in beige, clutching her phone like a rosary. Tyler, pale, sweaty, trying to look important. Madison? She wasn't there. Of course not. She only shows up to the photo ops. Jessica walked up to me. "Mom," she said, like I'd just come back from war. "You look tired," I said. She flinched. "You really want to do this in public?" I nodded. Public is where you tried to erase me. Inside, Judge Morales sat tall. He was quiet, sharp-eyed, and already flipping through the evidence binder Sandra had couriered last night. Bless her and her terrifying Rolodex. He looked up. "Ms. Taylor, I understand you're contesting a property transfer." "I am. You're asserting that this quitclaim deed was forged." "Yes." He leaned forward. "Do you have evidence?" I handed him the voice recorder. The photos. The statement from the clerk. He pressed play. Laurel's voice echoed through the courtroom. "Just fill it to Madison. She says we can skip the permit since it's technically hers now." He raised an eyebrow. Tyler squirmed. Jessica looked like she wanted to crawl under the bench. Then came the twist. Right when we thought it was smooth sailing, the judge turned one page and frowned. "This file shows a second transfer request. Filed this morning. An emergency amendment to remove all liens and contest ownership through familial executor status." I froze. Executor status? Jessica. That snake. She'd pulled my husband's will from over a decade ago. Claimed dormant family inheritance tied to the property. Said I was mentally compromised. That the venue was community property they had a legal claim to. It was slick. Dirty. Desperate. But dangerous. Judge Morales looked at me. "Were you aware your daughter filed this motion?" "I wasn't," I said, "but it tracks. Do you have a counter?" I opened my purse, pulled out the photo, the one with the empty chair, handed it to him. "Your Honor, my husband died in 2011. He left everything to me. The deed is in my name alone. This photo, taken 2 years after he passed, has that chair. Empty. always empty. Because I was never contesting anyone else's ownership. Because it's always been mine. The room went quiet. Then the clerk slid a new document onto the bench. Sandra had already filed a formal revocation of any dormant claim. With a timeline, a will, 2 witnesses. She'd seen it coming. She was always 3 moves ahead. The judge read everything slowly, then looked back up, ruling in favor of Ms. Taylor. Quitclaim deed is nullified. Original deed upheld. Injunction is valid. Any further use of the property without her written consent is a violation of law. Bang. Gavel down. Tyler's jaw dropped. Jessica sat back, stunned. "You set us up," she whispered. "No," I said. "You set me up." I just didn't stay down. Outside, the sky had cleared. Sandra handed me a Werther's from her coat pocket like a Medal of Honor. I laughed so hard I nearly choked on it. But it wasn't over. That night, I got a notification. Madison, live on Instagram, backlit with a halo ring light, tearfully announcing that her family had been betrayed by someone they trusted and that they were taking time to heal. She never said my name, but everyone knew. I almost closed the app, but then I saw the comment section. Something had changed. "Didn't you fake a deed? Your grandma gave you everything. I hope she sues you next." Grandma's a real one. I sat back in my chair. Read every line, one after another, like tiny drops of justice. At 11 p.m., my email pinged. Subject: Event contract termination notice from Brookfield Gardens legal team, aka me, to Madison Morgan, dear Ms. Morgan, effective immediately. All pending bookings made under your name have been voided. Any further use of my business identity or assets will result in civil charges. I recommend you pivot careers. Warm regards, Dorothy Taylor, owner and survivor. She thought she was throwing a party. I was building a case. Now the walls were closing in. And I wasn't just defending what was mine. I was reclaiming who I'd always been. It started on a Thursday, 7 a.m. sharp. Just as Madison was waking up to her sunrise yoga for manifestation alarm, her phone lit up with an email. Subject: Urgent, breach of contract notice from Dorothy Taylor, owner, Brookfield Gardens to Madison Morgan, unauthorized event planner. You are hereby notified that your recent attempts to book events under my business name without legal authority constitute fraud. Your access is permanently revoked. Legal action pending. She didn't even finish her oat milk latte. By 10 a.m., the cancellation calls had started. Vendors, photographers, caterers, influencers, brand reps, all of them, gone. Because I sent them all a packet, itemized, with the forged quitclaim, the court ruling, the injunction. One by one, they backed out. Not out of loyalty, out of fear. The word fraud makes people suddenly very interested in contract terms. Jessica called me by noon. "Mom, what's going on?" "You know exactly what's going on. You're embarrassing the family." "No, you embarrass the family. I'm just correcting the record." She tried to threaten me, said there'd be consequences. I told her I was the consequence. Meanwhile, Tyler? He posted some nonsense on LinkedIn about learning resilience through adversity. Bless his heart. The same man who once tried to sell me a protein shake at Thanksgiving was now fielding calls from his company's HR after my lawyer anonymously sent them the forged deed file. Turns out, some employers have a strict "don't commit real estate fraud on weekends" policy. He's now exploring new opportunities. Madison tried to go nuclear. Posted a tearful family trauma awareness video on her Instagram. She framed it like I had memory issues. Said she was worried about my mental health. Claimed she'd stepped in to protect family legacy. She ended it with a soft piano song and her Venmo handle. Sandra texted me, "Is this girl trying to crowdfund her gaslighting?" I didn't reply. I had better things to do. The next morning, I made my first public move. I changed the Brookfield Gardens website header from "a venue for your modern moments" to "still owned, still standing, still mine." Then I made a blog post. Title: The Truth. I uploaded receipts, court documents, screenshots, even the old family photo, the one with the empty chair. I captioned it, "This is what it looks like when someone disappears you. This is what it looks like when you come back." It went viral. Not influencer viral. Real people viral. Overworked moms. Church ladies. Barbershop uncles. Teachers. Small business owners. Elder rights advocates. Every comment section turned into a war zone. But I wasn't fighting. I was watching. Because the fire had already started. And I had brought the matches. 2 days later, I walked into Brookfield Gardens wearing a brand new sun hat and a t-shirt that said, "Wrinkled, not weak." Sandra nearly fell out of her chair laughing. We were hosting a new event. Not a wedding. A free community picnic. Food trucks. Music. Yard games. I'd invited the church choir, the high school jazz band, the bingo club, and every florist Madison had ghosted. The flyer said, "Family isn't blood. It's who shows up, stays honest, and never steals your damn gazebo." At noon, Jessica showed up. In heels. In a panic. Sunglasses on. "Mom, this is petty." "No, this is public." "You're tearing the family apart." "No, I'm pulling back the curtain." She stepped closer. Voice low. "You're going to regret this." I looked around at the people laughing. Singing. Holding lemonade cups with my logo on them. "No," I said. "I think you will." Then came the call. Right in the middle of the picnic. From my lawyer. He whispered, "It's done." "What is?" "The fraud report. It's stuck. You're clear." "They're not." I smiled. Hung up. Walked to the mic under the gazebo. Tapped it twice. Afternoon, everyone. They clapped. Someone shouted, "Tell it, Dorothy." I looked out at them. Then I looked dead at the camera someone was holding. And I said, "You can erase names from guest lists. You can delete invitations. But you cannot erase a legacy. Mine is here. It's alive. And it's not going anywhere." And then, like divine comedy, Madison showed up. Miniskirt. Microphone. 2 guys holding cameras behind her. She froze when she saw the crowd. Saw the banner. Saw me. She raised her mic. I raised my hand. Not today. One of the vendors cut her mic feed like we'd planned. She stood there, mouth moving. No sound. Someone offered her a hot dog. She ran. And that, my friend, was just Act 1. Because next week, the city was voting on a community grant for historical venues. Guess who is already nominated? 3 days after the picnic, the phone rang off the hook. Local paper. Regional news. A podcast host from Atlanta who wanted to do a Fierce Grandmas series. Apparently, people liked a story where the old lady doesn't sit down and take it. But not everyone liked it. That night, around 11 o'clock, someone egged the front gate of Brookfield Gardens. Sandra caught it on the security camera. 2 people. Hoodies. Fast. Sloppy. She slowed the footage down. Paused on frame 37. "You see it?" she asked. I squinted. And there it was. The outline of a Mrs. Morgan jacket. The same custom embroidery Madison posted after her bridal shower. Sloppy and dumb. Next morning, I had a fresh sign made. "Eggs don't erase ownership." Hung it right on the gate. Let them know I saw them. Let them know. Meanwhile, Jessica was calling everyone. Trying to get ahead of the storm. She called my church. Tried to get me taken off the hospitality team. Said I was unstable. The pastor left me a voicemail. "Dorothy, I told her you brought 3 casseroles last Sunday and paid for new hymnals. You're good." Click. Jessica 0. Potato salad 1. Tyler, ever the man of business, tried to sue me for damaging his public brand. His what? He sent a cease and desist letter on letterhead he made in Microsoft Word. No lawyer name, just a Gmail address that ended in .fit. I forwarded it to my lawyer. She replied with a laughing emoji and the words, "Girl, please." But the best part? Came Tuesday, when Sandra stormed into my kitchen holding a printout. "Your granddaughter is officially an LLC," she said. What? She started a competing venue business. I stared. A new wedding brand, called Wild Grace Events, with a tagline that said, "Fresh, young, family-free." Oh, so she was done pretending. Madison had booked a new location 2 towns over, a vineyard. She was offering Instagram-forward micro-weddings. First one scheduled in 3 weeks. The ad said, curated by Madison Morgan, former creative director of Brookfield Gardens. Former? I called my lawyer. Can I sue for false credentials? You can, she said. But there's something better. Hit me. Trademark her name. I blinked. Can I do that? She used your venue. Your brand. You can. And if I do? Every time she tries to promote herself under that name, you get paid. Or you sue. I stared at the phone, then smiled. She's gonna lose her mind. We filed the paperwork within the hour. Trademark, Madison Morgan, Events and AMP, Lifestyle. Under my holding company. Sandra brought the champagne. We toasted over egg salad and old vinyl records. I felt 20 years younger. Cliffhanger came at 4:17 p.m. Sandra's phone buzzed. She read the text and froze. What? I asked. She turned the screen. It was a screenshot. Madison's Wild Grace Instagram bio had changed. Now it read, Madison Morgan is not affiliated with Brookfield Gardens and is currently being targeted by elder abuse hoaxes. There was a link to a blog post. Title, When Your Grandmother Tries to Destroy You. The post was 3 pages long. All lies. Said I was jealous of her career. Said I'd had episodes and moments of confusion. Said I'd been manipulated by outsiders. Outsiders? Sandra waved her fork. Am I the outsider? Is it me? The last line of the blog post? Sometimes you have to let go of toxic people, even if they're family. Oh, okay. Game on. I went straight to the printer. Ran 300 flyers. Each one had the court ruling A statement from my lawyer, the photo of me at the community picnic, holding a sign that said, I'm still here, and at the bottom, in bold, facts matter. Narratives do not. Respect the elders who built the table you're trying to flip. Sandra and I delivered them door to door. To neighbors, vendors, churches, City Hall. We mailed one to the vineyard she was using. Taped one on their front window. You want to build a fake brand? I'll make sure it dies before it gets a second client. Meanwhile, I got a call. Private number. I picked up. Silence at first. Then a voice. Soft. Familiar. Grandma? Madison. Finally. Why no? I asked. I didn't think it would get this far. No, I said. You didn't think I'd fight back. I needed space. You needed silence. Big difference. She didn't answer. Then she said it. I can fix it. I closed my eyes. No, I said. You can't. But I can finish it. Because the trademark clears next week. And her first big event? Scheduled for the same day I'm holding the Brookfield Legacy Gala. Guess who all the vendors chose? Guess who all the guests picked? Guess who still has the gazebo? Spoiler alert, it's me. The day of the Brookfield Legacy Gala arrived. Weather? Perfect. Crowd? Huge. Energy? Electric. The gravel lot was packed before noon. Seniors. Teens. Couples. Reporters. 2 food trucks. 1 local radio host. And a full string quartet. Not a Pinterest wedding. Not a curated lifestyle moment. Just community. Real. Loud. Proud. But this wasn't the finale. This was the stage. I was in the main hall, tightening the ribbons on the commemorative chairs, each one with a nameplate for someone who helped build this place. Founders. Teachers. My late husband. And 1 empty chair. The same one from the photo. Still empty. Still waiting. A woman tapped my shoulder. You Dorothy? Yes, ma'am. She handed me a thick envelope. Certified delivery. From the trademark office. I opened it. Inside, confirmation. Madison Morgan was mine. Lock, stock, and branding rights. I made 1 call. To her. She picked up on the second ring. Grandma? I told you not to call me that anymore. She went quiet. I continued. I just got the papers. You can't use your name for any event business. Not a website. Not a flyer. Not a tull. You're bluffing. Nope. I smiled. Guess I'm your boss now. You're insane. You're irrelevant. She snapped. You don't own me. Maybe not, I said, but I own your options. Click. By 2 p.m., people were pouring in. The mayor gave a speech. Sandra got 2 standing ovations just for existing. Kids played cornhole on the lawn. And I stood under the gazebo, where I was supposed to be, where they tried to keep me from. But the best moment wasn't on stage, wasn't in the crowd. It came from inside. Tyler showed up, alone. Wrinkled shirt, red eyes. No camera crew, no swagger. He walked over slowly. I didn't move. He stood in front of me. I'm sorry, he said. I looked at him. Really looked. He looked small, tired, deflated. I nodded. Then I said, apologize to the court next. He walked off. No drama. No mic drop. Just silence. That's how you know you've really won. When even the loudest ones don't have anything left to say. Then came Jessica, right as the sun started setting. She was dressed for a funeral, which felt appropriate. She walked straight up to me. Mom. Dorothy, I corrected. She flinched. I never wanted this to get ugly. It didn't get ugly, I said. It started ugly. You just didn't expect me to be uglier. She crossed her arms. You humiliated us. I raised an eyebrow. You forged papers, lied to lawyers, tried to institutionalize me. And now you're mad that the world found out you're a fraud. She opened her mouth. I'm not finished. I stepped closer. You took my kindness for weakness, my silence for consent, my age for irrelevance. Then I pointed to the crowd. You see them? They remember who built this place. They remember me. You? You're just a cautionary tale. Jessica's lip quivered. You'll die alone, she whispered. I smiled. Maybe, but not today. She turned and walked away. No hug. No goodbye. Not even a glance back. Good, because I wasn't done. At 6 p.m., I took the mic crowd gathered. Camera phones lifted. I held up a single sheet of paper. This, I said, is the letter my granddaughter wrote to try and remove me from my own property. Gasps. She said I was confused. Dangerous. In the way. I folded the letter, set it on fire, dropped it in a metal bowl, watched it burn. Tonight, we honor what was stolen and what we reclaimed. They cheered, but one voice cut through the noise. Grandma? Madison. Standing in the middle of the crowd. Tears. No makeup. No mic. No entourage. Just her. I stepped off the stage. Walked straight toward her. She didn't move. Then she whispered, I lost everything. I nodded. I know. She looked up at me. Are you happy now? I leaned in, real close, and said, no pause. I'm satisfied. Then I handed her the photo, the one with the empty chair. I saved your seat, I said. She looked at it, then at me. Is it too late? I looked at the crowd, at the fire, at the chair, then back at her, and said, the group text started at 6:44 a.m. Jessica, Mom, we need to talk. You can't leave it like this. It's not fair to Madison. Tyler, so what happens to the name thing? You're not even using it. It's vindictive. Jessica again. Don't ignore us. We're still family. Then finally, Madison, I'm sorry. No punctuation. Just 2 words. By 9 o'clock, I was already being called cruel on a family Facebook thread. Not by name, but everyone knew. Some cousin in Ohio posted a Bible verse. Someone else mentioned elders losing their grip. Sandra left a comment that just said, LMO. It was chaos. Delicious, petty chaos. That afternoon, Jessica showed up. Again. No warning. Pulled up like a traveling lawyer on a bad sitcom. Still wearing her church heels. Makeup melting. Phone in one hand. She didn't wait to be invited in. Walked straight through my door. You've ruined her life. I sipped my coffee. She did that herself. You set her up. No. I stopped her. She's depressed. You know that? I looked up. She's exposed. There's a difference. Jessica dropped her purse on the table like it was made of bricks. I raised her better than this, she said. No, you raised her to think consequences don't apply if the lighting's good. She stared at me, angry, but not just angry. Scared. Then she sat down. Hard. I don't know what happens now. Maybe I said you listen. For once. She didn't reply. She looked at her hands like they belonged to someone else. Then she said, "She's still your granddaughter." I nodded. "And I'm still her grandmother." "But no," I held up a finger. "I've been, but at enough." The front door opened. Madison. Again. No camera. No ring light. No attitude. Just sweatpants. Puffy eyes. And silence. Jessica stood up. "Oh, thank God." Madison ignored her. Looked at me. "Can we talk?" "No," I said. "You can listen." She nodded. Jessica tried to interrupt. "Maybe we should," I snapped. "You can go." She blinked. "What?" I said go. Jessica's mouth opened, then closed. Then she picked up her purse, walked out, and slammed the door. Now it was just the two of us. Madison sat. I watched her. She looked small. She whispered, "I didn't think it'd get this bad." I said, "It always gets this bad when you treat people like scenery in your show." She sniffled. "I don't know who I am without all of it." I nodded. "That's the problem." She pulled something from her pocket. A USB drive. "Everything I made under your brand. It's on here. You can have it. Delete it. Use it." "I don't care." I took it, slid it into the candy dish. Didn't say a word. Madison finally asked, "Do you hate me?" "No, then why are you doing this?" I stared at her. Soft. Tired. Measured. "Because if I don't, you'll never change." Outside, a car horn honked. "Jessica." Madison stood up. She didn't hug me. Didn't say goodbye. She just paused at the door. Looked back. "I miss how it used to be." I said, "I miss who you used to be." She nodded. Then left. The door clicked shut. Silence again. Just the clock ticking. The USB drive glinting in the bowl like a trophy. That night, I got a message. From Sandra. Just a photo. A screen capture from a bridal blog. Breaking. Wild Grace Events canceled all future bookings, and under it, one sentence from Madison. "We are stepping away to reflect and rebuild what matters." But the real twist came an hour later. A knock at the door. Late. I opened it. And there stood Monday. It was Madison at the door. No cameras. No makeup. Just her. In the dark. Holding something in her hands. A picture frame. The photo. The one from years ago. The whole family around the Christmas table. Laughter, food, cluttered joy. And the empty chair. Still there. Still waiting. "I don't want to be a stranger," she said. I didn't answer. She held the frame out to me. "I don't deserve to be in this," she whispered. "But I want to earn it back." I took the frame. Looked down at it. The paper had yellowed at the edges. The glass had a small crack. Right across my face. Fitting. I turned it over. Ran my fingers along the old wood. The tape on the back. The faded writing in marker, "Grandma is my best friend." Madison shifted in the doorway. I nodded toward the porch chair. She sat. Not close, but not far. We didn't speak. Didn't need to. Just two women at the end of a war neither of us really won. The wind picked up. Rustled the trees. The porch light buzzed. And in that quiet, I thought about all the weddings I'd seen. The promises. The pretending. The photos that outlived the people. Brookfield Gardens still stood. The gate was locked for now. But the path? Still mine. The gazebo? Mine. The legacy? Still alive. Maybe someday Madison would come back. As someone better. Someone smaller. Less curated. More human. Or maybe she'd disappear again. Either way, I wasn't waiting anymore. I looked down at the chair next to me. Empty. Always empty. But now I wasn't angry about that. Because I had filled every other seat in my life with people who chose me. Not for photos. Not for favor. Just because they knew better. I stood. Set the frame down gently on the porch table. Then turned to Madison. "You don't get to rewrite history," I said quietly. "But you can stop running from it." She didn't reply. Didn't need to. Some things aren't answers. They're chances. And chances are like old women. You can ignore them, but they don't go quietly. I closed the door, locked it, turned out the porch light, and for the first time in years, slept without checking if I'd been forgotten. Let the empty chair stay empty. It made room for something better. You don't get to erase the woman who built the damn table. End of story.